Can we go for it?
You good?
You got the recording through as well, aye? Cool.
Oh,
So, Chris, episode 3 of the Silly Goose Gang podcast. Who thought we'd make it this far?
we thought we'd make it this far.
I know.
We actually thought we were doing really, really bad, like in terms of people that were watching it. Even though people have watched it, until you looked at a few other like Scottish people doing YouTube videos, and you go, "Oh, actually, we're not. We're actually doing quite well." So yeah, we decided that this is the time now to bring on a guest. It's actually quite funny. Between both of us, we actually know quite a few cool people. So we decided to ask some people on. My plan was to have like a party popper, because it's Leander's our first guest. I was going to have a party popper and somebody would look, have a make a party, but I can't get any. So here we are, first guest. And yeah, Andy is known as the Pretty Powerlifter. He has the best powerlifting outfit you've ever seen.
Yeah, I feel like I should be wearing that. I feel like I've missed a trick here.
I feel like you should be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could probably get changed in the time it would take you to do an intro of me. Maybe ask me to put my wetsuit on though.
So yeah, Andy's how did the powerlifting thing start?
Because I realised I wasn't good enough to be professional at rugby. I had delusions of grandeur with that, and then it basically got to the point where I was like, even if I do pursue the rugby, I probably wouldn't ever make it any higher than like kind of low-level semi-pro. So I'd probably travel around, play in a few different countries, play in a few different leagues, kind of like scratch a living, and then not have anything to do by the time I hit like 28, 29, or got some kind of serious injury or something. So powerlifting filled the competitive void basically, and then it turned out I was pretty good, so I just kind of kept going. But it's weird because if I had half the passion for powerlifting that I do for rugby, I probably would be one of the best ever at powerlifting, but I find it really boring, and I still keep on going back to play rugby, which negatively impacts my powerlifting. So hey ho.
That's right. So what position did you play in the rugby then, just taking a step back? Because I'm an ex-rugby player as well. Unfortunately, I went down the path of injuries, which pretty much stopped anything from happening. But what position did you play when you played?
Wing and fullback.
Oh, see, you're a man after my own heart. That's where I played, wing and fullback. I even played it. I'm 6'3", and I played a season at scrum half because every other scrum half got injured. And I think I was probably the tallest scrum half, maybe even in the world at one point, because there's not many 6'3" scrum halves.
Is that the first world record we've just had on this podcast? Wait, no. How tall is Conor Murray? He's quite tall, isn't he? The Irish scrum half. I think he might be 6'2", 6'3". We need to look that up, but I'm claiming that. Before the world record, I'm claiming a world record for this podcast. It's video submission. We just need someone to verify that you're 6'3".
Right, so we just wrap it up there then.
Totally.
Brilliant.
We don't need anything else.
Silly Goose episode 3. We've got a world record in the can already. Not bad.
Yeah.
So you were originally a pretty boy back, and then decided to move into powerlifting.
To become a pretty boy powerlifter.
That makes sense. That makes sense to the handle now.
Were you doing like a lot of compound lifts? Obviously, when you were playing rugby, was that a big part of it?
Yeah. So before I played rugby, I was a footballer. Hence, pretty boy. But I was like, I think I was about 66, 67 kilos wet through, and could literally just run. So I was a fullback at football as well, and the style of football that we played, I was literally just up and down the side of the pitch like for 90 minutes. So I got to start playing rugby, and I was fast and I was elusive, but I was just too small. So I joined the world's coolest gym. It's in Preston, and it tells you everything you need to know about it. It's called Ultraflex, and this is not like the big red and black glamorous Ultraflex that is moving around the kind of north of England at the moment. This is Ultraflex. The logo was a triangle upside down with a circle on top, and it was brilliant. Like if you went in first thing in the morning, there would be frost on the barbells, and yeah, that is where I learned to lift. And it was quite a weird atmosphere because most of the kind of slightly shadier characters of Preston went to this gym, but also so did a lot of the meathead coppers and a lot of the bouncers. But inside of the gym, there was like a really cool, like respect where they would all like have this mutual like you're just here to lift, and there was never any trouble that I knew of. But at the same time, if there was any trouble, you could almost guarantee two of the protagonists would know each other from this gym.
Mm-hmm. Quite cool. Quite cool. So
it's like it was an interesting place, definitely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's when just started getting kind of bigger and bigger to play rugby, and then went into powerlifting. Started out as an under 75 kilo lifter and a junior, and then just kind of moved on through the sport there. I've now competed as an under 75, an under 82.5. Well, an under 75, an under 80, an under 82.5, and an under 90. And my competitive weights have ranged from like 72 kilos up to 88 kilos. But most of the time, I sort of sit at around like 82, 83 kilos. I just got quite chunky for a deadlift only comp. Stepped on the scales and was like, oh, shouldn't have had that Domino's last night. Almost became my fourth weight category.
So what's where about? I know you've got some records. So what weight was the records at, and what was the total in the list?
So I don't think any of them stand anymore, but the records that I've had have been British juniors. I think they're all juniors, and then I had one open European deadlift record for a while, very short while, which was 267 kilos at under 75. And then at the moment, I believe under 82.5, I think I've got the second heaviest squat, the third heaviest bench, and like the fifth heaviest deadlift in Scottish powerlifting all time ever. And I'd quite like to get into the top 20 from the UK ever at under 82.5 whilst completing an Ironman triathlon in under 12 hours in the same calendar year.
Yeah.
So that's the goals.
So you said, what did you say the weight was? Did you say 72? Did you say 72.5 kilos was your body weight, and you lifted two? What did you say?
I weighed in at that comp. I think it was 70. I think it was 72.8, or it might have been 73.8. And I deadlifted. I think it was either 262.5 or 267.5. Can't remember which one.
That's like 3.5 times body weight.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it needs. It is absolutely insane. That's
probably insane.
Aye. So talking Scottish powerlifting then, do you know Will Brown and Chris Gray then?
I know them, not tremendously well.
Okay.
The more I know of them.
Okay, that's fine. And that's two guys. I used to play American football after I gave up rugby. I played American football, so I know Will through that. And I know Chris from back in Sunny Logelly, where I used to stay a few years back. We used to train in a gym.
He's got Granny Mania Fitness now?
That's the one. Yep. Shout out to my man Chris Gray.
Yeah, that's just around the corner from my gym. It looks like a pretty cool little setup he's got.
Yeah, I think he only set up that gym. I think he only moved into it like last summer. He's not been in it a huge amount of time, but he's a good guy. I've known him a long time. So yeah, and the great 6 degrees of separation in the central belt of Scotland. That you always know someone that knows someone.
Everybody knows someone.
Did you play for Wolves then?
Yeah, I go right back to the start of the Edinburgh Wolves. I used to play for the old Lothian Raiders, going back to like 97. And then when they folded, 3 or 4 of us started off the Wolves, going way back. But yeah, played with the Wolves for 7 years.
That includes Simon Swanston. Is that his name, Si Swanston? Big Si?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know of him through one of my friends and former clients, Sam Dunning. He's he was the president at Edinburgh Napier for a while, of the American Football Society, and he's played for East Kilbride Pirates, and I think he's playing for Wolves the season coming.
He is indeed. I used to play East Kilbride Pirates as well, and went to Edinburgh Napier. It's just like connection there. But yeah, East Kilbride was my old club. And I was at Edinburgh Napier, but not when they had the American football team. That came along a couple of seasons after I left.
Yeah.
Pete Laird and those guys set that up. But yeah, a lot of connections as you're chatting there.
American football has always interested me, but it's just there's too many broken bones to risk it.
I have absolutely no interest in the sport whatsoever, but I like the athleticism. The guys where there's a lot of guys where, like, I look at it and you look at some of the guys and you go, if these guys decided to take up fighting, everybody's fucked. They are big. Like, you know, in the NFL, a lot of those guys, if some of those guys took up fighting, you know, the speed, the direction that, you know, I don't even know what the guy's called. You know, the guy that catches the ball and darts out and scores all the touchdowns. You look at those guys, the way that they move and their footwork and stuff is unbelievable. If those guys decided to spend 5 years learning how to fight, everybody would be knackered. Athleticism is incredible. Really impressive.
That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people appreciate is the athleticism, and particularly over here in Britain, where, as probably you know yourself, Andy, having played rugby, American football is kind of frowned upon. I've certainly experienced that firsthand. Do you know what I mean? It is. It's frowned upon.
You're not good enough for rugby. You play American football at uni. That's
and you know what?
That's a while, and it's it's coming up though. It is coming up massively.
Definitely. And do you know what? There is a lot of truth in that statement, because I've seen guys that would turn up at various American football clubs that had tried football and were no good at it, had tried rugby, were no good at it, had tried pretty much everything and thought, well, no one plays American football, I'll turn up at that. And then guess what? They weren't very good at that either. Like, literally guys with, like, inathletic ability, talking the opposite of the NFL, guys that literally couldn't walk and chew chewing gum at the same time because it took too much coordination for them. And then you had these kind of guys coming along to try and play American football, and we had some, particularly East Kilbride at one point, we had some top level players, you know, guys that played NFL Europe, and guys that had been to NFL training camps, and they never lasted long. And there's a reason why they were no good at anything. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely on the up. It's definitely on the up as more and more people are getting involved. Now, I think the NFL being involved down in London so heavily over the last 4 or 5 years has definitely brought it back to the forefront.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just impressed that Chris said touchdowns and not goals, to be brutally honest with you, when you were discussing it.
Yeah, I really, it's one of the things in life that I just don't understand. Like, I just watch it and go, what are they doing? There's like, why is the point they've got like 600 people in the park? There's only 2 of them that actually do anything, and one guy kicks. There's one guy throws, one guy catches, and everybody else just runs into each other. And I just go, just everybody else go away and let these 4 people play against each other. Why are the other people there? Like, how much do they get? What do they get paid? About £37 a week, something like that. The other guys, the 2 guys that, like, the guy that throws, the guy that catches, they must be on £1 million a day, and everybody else must be on like £50 a week because they don't do anything.
Ali, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the highest paid player on a good NFL team often the left tackle?
Yeah, it's basically QB. So the quarterback's the guy who throws, he gets the most money, and then the big guys who just run into each other, your left tackle normally protects for a right-handed quarterback his blind side.
You two could just be making things up now to make me look ridiculous, and I'll agree and go, oh, really? Oh, yeah. Right. And then I'll look ridiculous.
The second highest paid player is the Flocker Locker. He's really good. So is the Wifty Wobbler. I mean, to be fair, you talk about making stuff up. The national animal of Scotland is the unicorn. So, I mean, you guys literally make stuff up to suit the rest of the world.
Well, I think you'll find we invented everything, so we can do what we want.
Including the unicorn.
Yeah, we invented everything.
Yeah, we just bring it all.
We just do what we want here. So yeah, what was I know you when did you go to Australia? You were in Australia fairly recently, weren't you? Lifting.
Last year. That was for Pro Raw. So you know the Arnold Sports Festival. Yeah. There's the one in Ohio, then there's the one in Australia. Yeah. So I was lifting at the. There's 2 massively prestigious powerlifting meets in the world. There's that one, Pro Raw, and then there's the Kern US Open. Well, there's Big Dogs as well, which is run by the same people that run Pro Raw, but that's literally just the heavyweights.
Right. Okay.
Pro Raw is Big Dogs, but for all the weight categories, and that is Oh, it's incredible. Like, it's legit powerlifting. So it takes out a lot of the crap. That's where I lifted as an under 80.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-hour weigh-in instead of 24. So you don't get people doing like enormous weight cuts and saying like, oh, I weighed 100, weighed in at 100 kilos. Then the next day they step on the scales again and they're like 113, 114, these massive rebounds. And yeah, just like the standard of the competition, the venue is in this massive expo. It's rammed. There must have easily been 1,000 people watching like the whole time, because there was 600 seats, and then it was like 2 to 3 people deep all the way around the seats the entire time. It's unreal. And then the warm up area, like the standard, all of the equipment in the warm up area was matched to exactly what was on the platform. Right, so there were no surprises, no. And there was, even though there was only, I think, maybe 10 to 15 people in each flight, there was 4 of each squat, bench, and deadlift in the warm-up area.
Yeah,
so normally you have to rush your warm-ups, and you know the plates aren't calibrated, so you don't really know what you're lifting. This was just like,
that's you. What you just said is one of the things that's really, like, even when I'm doing anything lifting in the gym, is if you got a favorite bar when you're more deadlifting and bench. If you got a favorite bar where you like the knurling on a certain bar, if you go to a different bar, it just feels weird. It puts you, you're going for a lift, like you're right at the top end, and you've got something that feels different. That would be massively off-putting. So those little small details must be like make a big difference, like quite a big deal kind of thing.
Yeah. It's my biggest complaint, my only complaint about the meet, and this will give you an idea of how well it's run, was that I was there. I didn't have a coach there because obviously it's in Australia, and I was coaching myself at the time. So for me, when I was wrapping my knees, the TV screen that showed you the order of lifting was about 3 meters away from me.
Yeah.
So I had to walk to that to see when I was lifting, and then walk back.
Mm.
That was that is the only thing that I would have changed to improve it. It's absolutely incredible.
Is that classed as a powerlifting first world problem then, having to walk to view the monitor with the knee wraps on?
I think that, yeah. I don't even know if it counts. Honestly, I don't even know if it counts. But it was the only problem that I could come up with the meet. And I don't get me wrong as well, I didn't lift particularly well. I didn't have a very good day. If I'd hit what I was projected to hit, I would have come 3rd or 4th. I ended up coming 7th. But even with that, it was just the most incredible experience. And I got to meet some pretty cool people there as well. Like, I got to chat with Steffi Cohen and Hayden Bowe. Joe Broderick Chavez.
I don't know who that is.
Evil Genius Sports Performance. He's one of the foremost experts in the world on sports supplementation, shall we say. Having a chat with him was very interesting. And they're just like some of the best lifters in the world were there. Arnold was there. He came across to the platform at one point, which was fucking cool. I didn't actually get to speak to him or see him, but he comes over to watch like the biggest lifts and gives them a high five if they make it afterwards, which was pretty surreal. And then there's just loads of people like that are more like kind of influencers just wandering around. But yeah, it's just amazing. And Melbourne's an incredible place as well.
What's always funny is when you go to these events. So one of the things that happened to me was when we were in Chamonix for Mont Blanc Marathon. I was geeking out because you were seeing like runners who I knew. To me they're famous, but like if you asked anybody in the street, they'd say, "Who's that?" So we were like walking down to the start, and a girl called Ida Nielsen ran past. I was like, "Holy shit, she's one of the best runners in the world!" She just ran past me, and to me it's like nerding out. But nobody else, like a random person, like who? Oh, a runner, cool. So it's kind of when you see these like events, like because powerlifting is one of those sports where it's it's not like rugby or football. It's not a mainstream thing, but if you talk about powerlifters are strong men and stuff like that, but most people don't. But it's cool when you hear somebody kind of nerding out about these people, but they're kind of famous to you, but they're not like a household name. It's funny to hear that from somebody else. It makes me laugh, I suppose. But yeah,
So I suppose it's that thing of following a niche sport, isn't it? Because we'd be the same, Chris, if you're talking about like jiu-jitsu. And like if Gordon Ryan, very few people would be like, oh my God, Gordon Ryan, whereas me and you'd be like, Gordon Ryan.
Yeah. It's quite funny with these. When these things are not like mainstream, but like people nerd out on them. So yeah, it's quite funny. That's cool. It's really cool when people go like just to compete. I never went to Australia or anything, but I boxed in Ireland and Wales. It's so cool to go away and do something someplace else. It's just a really cool thing to do.
I was thinking this the other day. Like, I've been so lucky with sports. Like, so I'll probably miss some, but just off the top of my head, from powerlifting, I have gone away and competed in the Czech Republic, Finland, Australia, all over England and Scotland. I've yet to compete in Wales. I've competed in Las Vegas. Where else? I feel like I'm missing places. I've competed at Tattoo Expos. I've competed at Body Power Expo. I've competed at the Arnold's Expo. Then in rugby, I've played rugby in Poland. I've played rugby in Stockholm. Played rugby in Wales. Again, all over the UK. And the team, I've played in the Dubai Sevens. Won that actually. So like going to all of these different places, just literally to pursue hobbies. It doesn't realize how lucky you are.
Yeah. It's the same when we went to Mont Blanc twice. Well, Chamonix twice for Mont Blanc Marathon. It's such a cool weekend, really cool weekend. Obviously me and Johnny went to Naga last year in Amsterdam. Just doing these things is so cool. Like to go and do a hobby and get to see some stuff, and then afterwards go out, have a couple of beers, relax. It's such a cool thing to do. So I didn't know you'd been to Vegas or anything like that. That's super cool. That's really cool.
That was my first World Championships, 2015. Got my ass absolutely handed to me by Australians and Americans. But again, I knew that was going to happen. Everyone could tell you that was going to happen, but it's not always about that for me. It's about the experience, and that's what makes you a better lifter. And that's part of the reason that I got invited to compete at Pro Raw. Like I was never going to win it, but I had an outside chance at a podium. But what the organizer said was that I've always gone and sought out competition. So I've competed in multiple different federations at different weight categories and put myself in unfavorable positions. So like when I competed, so I broke my leg in 2017 playing rugby and set myself the goal of...
Yeah, this is right. You came back and done something ridiculous, didn't you?
Yeah, so I won the under 82.5 British Championships 5 months after breaking my leg.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, but that was as an 82.5, but I was literally walking around at 79 kilos. So I qualified as a 75, but looked at the 75 weight category and there was like no one good lifting in it. So I just went up to the next category to actually get some competition. And then, won it. And that was, I think that was this one.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Berkeley. And that's what the organizer said, is that's one of the things he looks at, is he looks for lifters that actually compete, not just people that like go close to their own backyard and lift in like favorable conditions with people that they know.
I think that must have been around about the time where I was first aware of you, because I'm sure you'll tell me this. I think you and Johnny both had surgery around about the same time.
Yeah,
and
just before me.
So Johnny was saying, one of the things that was getting him through was you getting through to trying to compete. And then I remember him telling me, this guy Andy Smith, he's broke his leg, but he's aiming to compete in a powerlifting competition. I was like, this is making me crazy. I like it.
I'm quite proud of that rehab, because I went in for my op. So I broke it on the Friday night, and I was really, really gutted because I was supposed to be going back to Dubai to play in the sevens. And it was literally would have been 16 days after that. So it was like my last rugby match, just as like a bit of a tune-up, and I broke my leg, obviously, so I was gutted. But then that was on a Friday night, got taken in, pushed to the front of the queue for my op on the Saturday. And then the following Monday, I went back for my first checkup. So I got the op, I've got a rod and 3 screws in my leg now. I went back in, and the nurse was like, oh, how long have you been in your boot? And I was like, well, this is day 9. And I was like, I feel good. Like I've been doing a bit of walking without my crutches and just in the boot. And so Ali, my undergrad degree was in sports therapy. So I know a lot about healing processes, etc. So I was saying to the nurse, I was like, yeah, I feel good. Feel like I've got some good like early loading on the bone, etc., etc. And I was like, I feel like I might get out of the boot. And this nurse was like, no chance. You'll be in for another 3 weeks at least. And the surgeon comes in like right on cue, and he goes, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think you need your crutches anymore. And I just kind of looked at the nurse and was like, totally smug. But yeah, I just remember it happening. And then I was in the ambulance, and I was like literally just on PubMed, just reading, just searched fracture healing rates, and like anything that was listed that had a positive effect on fracture healing, I was like on my phone and just ordering it then. So I was like, vitamin D3, which I take anyway, like zinc and magnesium. I was taking iron, calcium supplements, Cissus supplements, just like fucking like literally anything. Like just a concoction of pills every single morning, afternoon, and evening, just to do everything I could to try and speed it up. And Johnny, I'm pretty sure, I still don't know because of the painkillers, but I'm pretty sure Johnny came to see me in hospital and brought me grapes.
Tremendous.
Maybe. I don't. He never told me that, but maybe he did. Yeah, maybe he did. What did Ali? What did you do? Because you've had knee problems, haven't you? What was your knee problems?
I've had everything go wrong with my knees because I've got a similar background to you, Andy, as well. I've got a bachelor's in sports and exercise sciences from Napier, but my knees have been destroyed for many, many years. Going back to my rugby days, first time I blew out my ACL, I was 15 years old in a trials match for, I think it was Northern Midlands District I was going for. Classic story of, in the trials and you blow your knee, what could have been? But I genuinely did blow my knee out in a trials match, playing on the left wing, planted my foot to step inside, and the opposition team fullback came through and just folded my knee like 90 degrees the wrong way with my foot stationary. Popped everything. And as you are when you're 15, you're like, no, I'll be fine, I'll run it off. And after about 3 minutes, I was like, I'm gonna have to come off. And the worst thing was I don't know how well you know like sort of Central Fife, but I was playing in Dunfermline at McCain Park, and I had to cycle home to Rosyth, which is about 4.5 miles, with this destroyed knee. It was the only way I could get home because we didn't have a car growing up. There was no bus service at that time of night because it was after school. Cycled home, got home, jumped into a bath, gutted that the trials had gone badly, and just went to my bed and woke up the next morning and my knee was just like inflamed via bleach. Came downstairs and said, I think my knee's kind of hurt, Mum. And she was like, how bad is it? I was like, it's pretty bad. She goes, you'll probably be okay. Go to school and see how you get on. So I went to school and had like PE as you do at school, playing basketball, which was one of my sports I played back then. And again, planted my foot to try and take a jump shot and just collapsed in a smelly heap. And then off to the hospital, and they were like, yeah, you've torn your ACL and a partial tear in your MCL. And it just basically went from there. I've had, between my two knees, I've had 13 operations. Yeah. The problem is, and this, I know you've got your first class undergrad in sports therapy, and this will go against everything. But you know when you think when you're 17 you know better than highly paid orthopedic surgeons? And they tell you 18 months rehab and you go after 10 weeks. That feels okay. I reckon I could run on that. And you can maybe run slightly in a straight line, but the minute there's any instability, it just goes and explodes again. So I've had two different MCLs in my left knee. I had a cadaver replacement the first time, and then a part cadaver, part like Kevlar, reinserted. And that one's held okay, in fairness, because I actually listened to the surgeon. But I've had various other stuff, meniscus, PCL.
Can I stop you there? Can I just stop you there and tell you just now? I never knew any of this before. You are a fucking moron.
What's the name of the podcast?
The Silly Goose Gang.
So I just destroyed it, just not listening to doctors. Like kind of like the opposite of what you were saying. You know, you were like, oh, yeah, after 5 weeks, I think I could go. I was like 5 weeks after like ACL surgery. I can totally go. I'll be fine. What's the worst that happens? Oh, it turns out it explodes again, and then my knees just fell apart.
I wonder how much of that kind of stuff is genetics as well, or is it just you know better?
Nah, absolute stupidity on my part.
I'm not.
that might be the genetics.
Yeah, might be the genetics. Genetically, you're a moron. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, just not listening to doctors' advice and thinking I know better, because I'm a stubborn and an idiot and a silly goose and a moron. Put whatever phrase you want to attach to it. But yeah, man,
this is why Andy is a successful athlete and a successful gym owner.
Yes, and I'm 42 years old with destroyed knees.
That's funny. So, what was just because I mentioned it there now? What was the thought behind opening? So, Andy owns possibly the best gym facility in Scotland. Like, I haven't seen anything that's nicer. It's such an amazing facility inside. So, what was the idea and the process behind Lift?
I'm one of these people that likes to plan, and so I plan my life in 5-year blocks. And I graduated from my master's, which is in strength and conditioning, at the University of Edinburgh, Ali. And I was like, I want to own a gym. So from 25, I was like, I want to have a gym before I'm 30. So I was offered the chance of doing a PhD, and that would have been sponsored by Hearts. So I would have been their academy lead S&C coach, but it was basically just glorified data crunching, and I didn't want to give up the three of the best years of my life. So from 24 to 27, I would have been doing that. And take a wild guess at what the pay was. So I would have been lead S&C coach for Hearts, lecturing at Heriot Watt. I don't even know if I should disclose this because it's quite sensitive data, but fuck it. I'll give you a rough bracket instead, right? And there were no real holidays or anything like that. When you weren't working with the academy, you were basically expected to go along and volunteer with the first team, all that stuff. So yes, it's about a 90-hour working week. Guess what the salary was per annum for that?
And it was Hearts.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to show my bias, because I'm not a massive Hearts fan, despite my wife and sons all being Hearts fans. But I'll go, and it was academy level, eh?
Yeah, lead academy S&C coach, in charge of the whole academy.
I'll go 19.5.
That would be insultingly bad for that position. I would say 25.
16. No room for wiggle on a 3-year contract. So I was just like, yeah. And living away from home in a capital city, I was just like, nah, can't do that. They were like, oh, you can lecture to boost your income. Oh, great. That'll make all the difference. So I was just like, yeah.
Wage, isn't it?
Way below. I think it works out something. If you factored in the actual hours that they
yeah, 9-hour week. Yeah, you're talking £3 an hour or something. Yeah, like YT.
£7 an hour. But this is a wider problem. I was going slightly off topic, so I'd go very quickly off topic, then bring it back. But basically, this is a wider problem in the S&C world that I think is attributable to London 2012, in that everyone was gearing up for London 2012. So there were all these jobs that appeared, and everyone was paying loads of money. So loads of people went into like strength and conditioning, sports science, sports coaching, etc. And then post 2012, it's just mushroom cloud and then back in. So now people can get away with. I mean, to be honest, I was quite lucky to be offered a salary. A lot of people would just offer it as work experience for like a year, and you'd have to work a bar or something alongside it to actually get anywhere. So kind of bring me back. I was like, I know I don't want to do that. I am quite driven by money, so I was like, I'll start off as PT, and so I started at Virgin Active because I had good contacts there from working there as a fitness coach when I was doing my undergrad. So I started there as a PT, was there for about 18 months, opened a PT studio, had that for about 2 years. And then basically from the second I opened the doors on my PT studio, I was planning a gym. It wasn't going to be anywhere near as big and as fancy as Lift was. But then I got quite lucky in who I got involved with my business partners and their business connections and kind of knowledge of financing and things like that. And it kind of grew arms and legs. And yeah, then here we are. So now we have an 11,000 square foot, fully functioning commercial gym, which in my mind is what a commercial gym should be. So we've got everything that like kind of Virgin Actives and David Lloyd's and stuff do, minus the wet facilities and courts for like racket sports, but just distributed in the way that we think is fit. So we've got like a nice cafe, proper barista coffee. We get meals in from Grams, which is like a health food cafe in Edinburgh, do really good food. We run like classes, spinning, yoga, and then we run like strength classes as well. We've got staff that are constantly on hand, that are employed by us, well, are now furloughed. Cheers, Corona. But yeah, and it's not paying off yet, especially given current circumstances. But it's a massive, huge scale startup, and we're inside our first 18 months. So
it is one of those places where, you know, when someone I think it would have been Johnny in the, you know, say, you know, Andy's setting up a gym and stuff, and you go, okay, that'd be nice. I'm sure it'll be a nice place. But then when you actually seen it, you went, holy shit! It's like a proper like world class. It's an amazing. You have to. You've never sent you the pictures, Ali, but you go on the Instagram, look at the pictures. It's a properly amazing facility. Really, really well set out. And in fact, is that one of the reasons? Getting a nice little transition here. Is that one of the reasons that you got involved, or you were asked to get involved with the Gymshark stuff?
That's the reason. They came up for a tour and were just so blown away by it that they headhunted me on the spot to do their place.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty surreal.
What was funny to me, again, one of these things where you nerd out on these things and go, so you were down there and you were putting things on Instagram story and like this, and I messaged you at the time. Is that, you know, when Ross, what, is it Edgley?
Yeah.
Edgley, yeah.
So when I seen it, he had just done his round. I think he had just been on Joe Rogan. So yeah, I think he'd just been on it, and then I'm looking in the background because he had just finished he'd been 2 or 3 months finished his swim, and he had been on Joe Rogan, and I was like, looking at your story, going, that looks like Ross Edgley in the background, and I messaged you, yeah, he's a cool guy, and I was like, holy shit, Andy knows him. It was one of those moments again where you kind of nerd out on these things. But that gym again looks incredible. You have to have a look at that as well. Amazing place.
Yeah, that was mad. Like, so they came up. It would have been late 2018, end of November in 2018. I didn't know. All I knew was that Origin would bring in Gymshark to have a look around Lift. Didn't know what for. Didn't know anything about any of that. And they came through the door with 2 people, one of whom was, or turned out to be, Paul Richardson, who's Gymshark's chief strategic officer. Incredibly impressive business career. He's one of the 3 directors, just an absolute legend of a bloke. And yeah, so just gave them the tour, and someone like that just has presence. You can tell how important it was. So I just pulled out everything, like every single detail that went through my head when we were creating and designing the place, right down to like why certain bits of equipment were where they were, and what the difference is between this bar and that bar, and blah blah blah. And then at the end of the tour, he just said, do you want to come and do some work for me? And I was like, well, you don't really say no to Gymshark with how they are at the moment. So he wouldn't say anything else. So then they flew me down late December to go and have a look around their headquarters, have a meeting, sign an NDA and stuff. And then that's when they told me then what they were planning. And it was basically the idea was to create the world's best private gym. And he wanted me to be one of his consultants. So then I kept on getting flown down and back. I had to pitch them various different like design creations, talk about all the different equipment and stuff. And my role evolved as the process went on. And I think as they sort of trusted me more and understood my depth and breadth of knowledge about all things gym related. And I ended up being the lead design consultant, working directly with Paul. And then they had me down for just over 2 weeks to kind of oversee the last little bits of the install, the opening of the facility, and the training of the staff to make sure everything went smoothly. So yeah, I got flown down about, I think 5 or 6 times, and then I wasn't allowed to talk about any of it, which fucking nearly killed me. Doing something so cool, and then, but having signed an NDA that's about that thick, and you're genuinely not allowed to talk about it. And then and then when it was open, the first couple of weeks, I got to meet obviously Ross, Ryan Terry, a USN bodybuilder. He's not won the Physique Olympia, but he's been very close. A guy called Lou Bomba, who's he's a Gymshark athlete. He's huge on Instagram and social media, but I'd imagine you guys probably don't know him because he's more of like an influencer type. But he's actually really knowledgeable and really nice. Obi Vincent, a massive hench black guy that does like CrossFit bodybuilding.
I don't know that name.
He's someone to look up. He's really, really funny, really, really nice as well, and he's really supportive of Fergus with all of his mental health stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, and then just other athletes and stuff. It was just amazing. But yeah, it's absolutely sick. It's just incredible, and to say that I was a key figure in that is fucking cool.
Do you think that might lead into other things for other people coming to, Lift and Andy Smith and looking for help with designing their gym?
I'd like it to, and yeah, I'm gonna stop talking there.
Oh, drop the mic. Andy's out.
Absolutely.
I'm not one of these people that likes to be like, big things coming or anything like that. But I'm always working on other things in the background, and I'd be down.
I'll save your blushes right now, and I'll go back there because you mentioned Fergus. So I've not actually spoke to Fergus yet, but I'll ask Fergus if he wants to come on and have a talk at some point. So how do you and Fergus know each other?
So this was at Virgin Active. I walked in one day and I saw some guy doing low bar squats in bright red Addy Powers, and I was like, seems like my kind of guy. And then the rest is history. I think that would have been 2015. Okay. So we just struck up a bit of a friendship. He wanted to compete in powerlifting. I became his coach for a while, and then we just became good mates. Fergus was actually in Vegas with me in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and then just became firm friends. And then he was my flatmate for a short while. That's when we got the dogs. Because his dog is the brother of my dog. They're from the same litter. Despite the fact that my dog is hencher. Dogs look like their owners, right? Sorry, Fergus. And we just really good mates. And I've just tried to support him as much as I can with all of his ludicrous challenges. That's about it. He's just a really, really good mate.
Yeah, you're aware of. You don't know Fergus Alley, but you're aware of Fergus.
I've seen him on yourself, Johnny's social media. Some of the stuff he's done is, as I say, looking just as a pure outsider, not knowing him, has been is incredible, absolutely incredible. Some of the things he's done.
Yeah, he trains incredibly hard. He's in incredible shape, and the stuff that he's doing for guys for mental health is incredible. So we won't talk too much about him because I'll ask him to come on at some point. I have proposed something to do as well at some point because I get these crazy ideas in my head sometimes, and he's more likely to do it than I am. In fact, two things actually I've proposed to him. One,
the Sufferfest.
One, no. Well, yeah, we're doing that next weekend. I've not told you this, Ali. So next weekend.
Is this the week?
Yeah. So Johnny text or sent my message or whatever it was and said, do you want to do the Nights of Sufferlandra? So Sufferfest is a cycling. Are you doing it, Andy?
Fuck no.
Okay. Johnny, it's a Sufferfest is an app, and you follow along on your phone or your tablet or whatever, and they're varying lengths and difficulties and all sorts. So you do 10 videos back to back. It works out at around about 10 hours. I think it's over 10 hours off bike on the turbo trainer inside. So I'm doing it. Fergus is doing it. One of our friends, Kieran Smith, who's an undefeated boxing champion, he's doing it as well. Funnily enough, in our little triathlon group that we've got on WhatsApp, the question was asked and nobody replied. Everybody just kind of went, nope. So we're doing that together. I did, because we were both supposed to be doing the Keltman. Me and Fergus were both supposed to be doing the Keltman. That's now not happening. So I asked him if we wanted to do something else instead later on in the year, like if we could both trade towards something under Johnny and get Johnny to come and support something. I don't know what, but I've got a few ideas. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we'll try and I'll speak to Fergus and see if he wants to come on at some point, because he's a super interesting guy and a lovely guy as well. So we'll try and get him on as well. But yeah, I never asked you before how you knew him. Lovely moustache.
It's good, isn't it?
Lovely moustache.
So for yourself, Andy, if you're saying you played rugby, you're powerlifting, what's made you decide to move across into triathlon? Because I see from Chris's social media, certainly you've done a bit of training with Chris in the last few months, obviously up until the current situation. But what made you move over into triathlon?
I don't really know, to be honest. Probably a combination of influence from external people like Chris and like Johnny, just actually formalizing being a hybrid athlete. Because one of my earliest I've always been fit and I've always wanted to be strong, right? As playing rugby, powerlifting, it kind of goes hand in hand for me. And I've always thought that the traditional idea of like cardio kills your gains and stuff is daft. It doesn't, because rugby players, specifically rugby league, everyone's fucking jacked, really fit, really strong. There's loads of examples of it. It's just never really been formalized. And then I came across a guy called Alex Viada. You heard of him?
Yeah, I've got absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so got more and more into that kind of thing without ever actually doing the triathlons. And I've been fortunate enough through Alex. That's actually, Chris, that's actually how I met Johnny.
Well, it's through Alex.
I didn't meet Alex through Johnny. I met Johnny through Alex. So initially, I tried to get a partnership with CHP, which is Alex's company, through Lyft to secure formal training for the staff.
Right. Okay.
And then that kind of so Alex put us in touch with Johnny, and I think he sent Johnny to assess whether or not I was legit or just basically time busted. And then that culminated in us all going across to the Netherlands to meet.
That was in Utrecht. Is that one in Utrecht? Yeah,
that's the one. And have a chat. But basically, throughout all that time, we kind of got to speak to Alex quite a lot, and obviously speak to Johnny. So I think it's just been to kind of formally test it. So I have this weird kind of idea where I want to be recognized as one of the most hybrid athletes in the world, if not the most. So I want to continue being elite at powerlifting, still play rugby, but sevens mainly, be an Ironman triathlete, but like a good one. So for next year, the goal is to go sub 12 hours. The stretch goal would be sub 11.5 hours, but in the same year as hitting 600 pound squat, 272.5 kilos, 600 pound deadlift, and a 405 pounds, so 182.5 kilo bench press. Do those in the same year whilst playing rugby. And I feel like that kind of pretty much encompasses everything. And I guess triathlon is just a nice way of formalizing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. It totally does. Makes massive amounts of sense. It's just interesting because obviously not knowing you at all up until this point, just to see where you move from the rugby, which is a kind of speed power sport, moving into the powerlifting, and then moving back into what, as you say, normally seen as a far more of a cardio event. And the kind of traditional thinking behind that of you can't have both. It'll be interesting to see how it comes together.
What I would say is what's quite cool from these little group of people that we're talking about is, so, the whole point of this podcast was we know some quite cool people and we're going to get them on to talk because we can't do anything else. So when you look at the people that you want to bring on, you go, these are the people who, are friends and people who you look at and go, fuck, man, if Andy can do this, I think I could do this. And but everybody kind of, I think in like this little kind of group, everybody kind of bounces off each other and go, I wonder if I could do this and this and this. And if he's doing that, why can't I do it? And then everybody kind of pushes each other, like everybody, like a rising tide lifts all ships. That kind of idea where you surround yourself with these people who are good athletes, cool guys, who you'd like to do a triathlon with and then have a pint. Those kind of people, everybody kind of pushes each other on to get better. They're kind of like a jiu-jitsu alley where we've got a good group of guys who train with us, and everybody, if I catch you in a heel hook, I'll say, well, this is what I'm doing, this is what you should do, and this is what I'm doing to try and do this. And everybody in this little group, so from powerlifting, from the jiu-jitsu, from Alex and Johnny and Fergus and these guys you were talking about, everybody kind of push you. You just kind of, because Fergus is doing the Keltman. Fergus will beat me at the Keltman because he's built for it and I'm not. But in my head, I want to beat Fergus, so I'm training because I want. You know what I mean? So you've got these people where if you surround yourself with awesome people, you can only get better, really. So yeah, it's quite a cool kind of dynamic with the people that hopefully we'll all get on here at some point to talk. Obviously Alex, a phenomenal human being, really. He's an impressive guy. All these people are quite interesting. Just to have the people round about us that will we'll hopefully get on.
I also like how you had to get in that you would heel hook me. You just couldn't leave that, could you? You had to get in that you would heel hook me.
What do you mean that I will heel hook you? I have.
That's what I mean. I know, but you just had to get into the chat, is what I mean. Yeah.
I have to go out there. So like I say, it's quite it's so important for people to have people around about them that are also awesome and try and push constantly, and it makes you go, because if I get up in the morning and I see me and Andy, we went swimming, so when I see Andy swimming, it kind of makes me go, fuck him, man, I want to go swimming, I want to go power. If he does 1,000 meters, I want to do 1,100 meters today. If he's done whatever on the bike, I want to do a little bit more. It's not like I'm not trying to one up him, and I'm sure Andy would say the same. It's just like I want to, and that's how you kind of get better at things. It's having a group of friends that inspire you, I suppose. It's a compliment in there someplace.
I was waiting. I knew it was coming. I didn't want to interrupt it. I didn't want to scare it off.
I'm not very good at compliments, but there was a compliment in there someplace. Ali, I have nothing to say about you, but Andy's quite good. Yeah.
It is true, though. It is true. If you've got a group of even people that you only kind of know, and then start working with them and training, and everything drives each other on, doesn't it? Yeah, as you say, even if you're saying to each other, there isn't an element of competition, it isn't one-upmanship, that is still in the back of your head that, you want to do a little bit better, which then pushes everyone on, but also enjoying each other's successes when they come as well is a key part of it.
Yeah, I'll not lie, 100%. A part of it from my end is ego, 100%, because I relish the fact that if I turn up to triathlons, people look at me like I'm fucking lost.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? And then if the fact that I can actually perform and do well, not win, but hold my own, and then you're at a powerlifting meet and I'm looking around the room and I'm going, no one else here has run a half marathon.
Well, it's funny because one of the things, and I've had this conversation with Johnny before, so turning up at the Keltman last year, one of the things that was going through my head is, when we're lining up, everybody's, right thin, little tiny thin Frenchmen with headbands on, all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of looking about being huge, going, none of you can deadlift 240. That's one of those things in your head. You go, yeah, you might all be better triathletes, but I'll still fuck you up. kind of with Andy on that one. You could both say this. I don't think you can do, whether you publicly say it, I don't think you can do anything without being a little bit, I don't know if arrogance is the right word, but having a little bit of ego and having a little bit I don't think you can do anything, whether you publicly say, I'm awesome, or, I think privately, if you have that as a driving factor, that really drives you on. People maybe don't say that, but
it's certainly how you become, how you can become better. And I think some of it as well is, like you spoke about, Ali, the stubbornness. Like, I shouldn't be able to do an 11.5 hour Ironman whilst being able to do that. But why? Just because a few people have done some studies that have dictated it, and because I don't look like typical, but people are getting close to it. Like the Alex Viada, don't know what his best Ironman time is, but he's kind of like the one of the main OGs of hybrid training, arguably a creator. And I spoke to him a while back, and I asked him, are you aware of anyone that's done this? And he said, no, but it would certainly be cool if you did. And it's like, I feel it's possible. And to be the first one that's done it, it then just like paves the way for others to do it. And going back to what Chris was saying about like, there's definitely ego. If I see Fergus has been out for a 2.5 hour ride, one of the first things that I do, I look at his average speed and I look at his distance covered, and I'm like, oh, it's a benchmark. It's not, I'm not going to beat him, but it'd be in the same way as when he sees me benching, he looks at that and he's like, oh, fucking hell, like, nice. I'm going to try and get as close to that as I can. Neither of us will ever do it, but it's that benchmark, and it gives you that drive on, because you're like, oh, he's better than me at that, and I fucking hate it. Yeah, but at the same time, you admire and respect him and congratulate him for being better than that. And I think it's a huge part of friendship.
You've just said exactly what I want to say, but you're way more intelligent than me and put it better. That's exactly what I want to say, and you put it better. This is why you getting hit in the head's a bad thing. So yeah, that's exactly what I want to say, and it's that's cool. I'm glad you said that. It's really cool. Yeah, super cool. So yeah, what else have you got athletically? What's in the back of your head? Is there anything in the back of your head that you're thinking?
Yeah, because you were saying you break it down into 5-year blocks. Again, excuse the ignorance, but kind of, what age are you just now, Andy? Because you were saying sort of 20.
21.
21.
No, I'm 29.
29. So hit to the end of that 25 to 30 block then.
Yeah.
So what's the next 5 then that you can disclose?
I'll touch on the business stuff first. This is where what you said earlier, have a profitable gym business, or be part of a profitable gym business. Have a nationally and potentially internationally recognized gym design consultancy business, and be how can I word this?
Something there, look, there's a little cheeky smile there. You want to say something? You want to say something?
Be more involved in equipment design. I'll say that. The latter two go hand in hand. And then athletically, athletically, I don't really plan in 5-year blocks. That's the weird one. My life I do, but my sport I don't. So that tends to go in 1 to 2 year blocks. This year, a little bit up in the air. In June, I'm supposed to be doing the 3 Peaks Challenge with one of the sevens teams that I play for charity. Then August, this is where the hybrid stuff really comes in. So August, I'm supposed to be doing the Haddington Sprint Triathlon again, and that is just as a direct comparison to last year to see how much I can absolutely rinse it out of the park. If it's not on, I'll find a way of doing a sprint triathlon just on my own.
I'll come and do it with you.
Yeah, if we're allowed at that point.
Yeah, if there's no triathlon and you want to just go and do one, I'll come and do it with you.
Yeah. Then September is the largest prize money professional powerlifting show in the UK that's ever been held. So that's the GPC Pro Show, and it's at the have you seen the Fit Expo? It's a new expo, the one that's in Liverpool in September. So the GPC Pro Show's at that. I got my invite to that at the last comp that I did, and then 3 weeks after that is the Stirling Marathon. So I'm going to be prepping for all 3 things concurrently. So that'll be an interesting challenge, because obviously as soon as the sprint try is done, I'll drop my running and cycling right down to maintenance. My swimming and cycling right down to maintenance. But I'll effectively have like a 6-week powerlifting peaking cycle at the same time as a marathon prep. And I would quite like to go sub 350 on the marathon.
Stirling's I haven't done Stirling. I know people that have done it, and it's not as easy as like on Edinburgh. There is little sections that are, a little bit of climbing. Edinburgh's really, really, Edinburgh you would probably do that. Edinburgh's a fast marathon, should we say. There's no easy marathon, but it's a fast marathon. Stirling's a little bit harder, so some 350 there for a guy who's not a runner would be bloody impressive.
I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with the powerlifting prep though, because of the strength that I'll have in my legs, the hilly sections where most people will slow down, provided my heart rate control is sufficient, which it should be, because I do a lot of running up in the Pentlands anyway. I feel like it would, and that's, again, it's another thing, isn't it? Like the cop out option would be to choose the Edinburgh Marathon. But I want to do a tougher one. So that's, and then that'll be me into, after that I'll go into my full powerlifting mode, and then hopefully February or March I'll do a full meet, and this will be 2021, and that'll be where I'll go for the 272.5 squat, 182.5 bench, and 272.5 deadlift, and then July is Ironman Austria, and that'll be where I'll go for my sub 12, hopefully sub 11 and a half hour full Ironman.
That'll be something. That'll be very, very impressive.
I feel like I'm not the worst build for it though. Like as much as I am muscular and far more muscular than the average triathlete, I'm not too heavy. Like I'm not 100 kilos. Yeah. Come race day, I'll probably be like 81, 82 kilos.
What's one of the things that I would say that you've got in your favour is a lot of guys who are sort of muscular powerlifters at 85 kilos, whatever you are just now, they don't move well. Whereas, a rugby background obviously helps you because you move well. You move about, you're kind of good feet and stuff, and good sort of, obviously by moving a ball, we've got kind of good hand-eye coordination. But a lot of guys who are just, we're talking about the meathead kind of people, don't kind of move well, and whereas you do, you seem to move about quite well.
Well, I've got, without going too much into it, I've got a really, really varied athletic background. So football, rugby, have been the main ones, and then powerlifting. But I played cricket to a pretty high standard. I've done trampolining, gymnastics, horse riding, archery, like all sorts. Apart from winter sports, because we could never afford to go on like ski trips and stuff, you pretty much name a sport, I've tried it. Rock climbing, and being fairly successful at it. So and that's kind of what I mean by I've always been hybrid, Ali, in that I've always moved and I've always looked to incorporate that into my training, like doing handstands, and I'm basically a frustrated CrossFitter that doesn't want to do CrossFit.
Frustrated CrossFitter. That's pretty, I like that. That's a good way to put it.
I'll change from a pretty powerlifter to the frustrated CrossFitter.
That should be a t-shirt. I hope we get some t-shirts made up. That's pretty cool. What? How are we doing on time?
Just over there.
Just over there. Have we still got time? Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Do you have many more things to talk about, or you feel like you're at?
I mean, keep asking questions. If I can't answer them, I can't answer them. But I've got. I need to take the doggo out. I've probably got another like 25 minutes, and then because I need to take the dog out, and then I'm doing the Team Sky ride on Zwift later on.
I actually need to. Well, I've been looking all morning because I've got my turbo is like a really cheap, crappy one. So I wanted to try and get a better one for next Sunday for the Knights of Sufferlandria. I can't find one, but I want to get one that's Swift compatible because a lot of them aren't. So you have to find one that's compatible to Swift. So I'm trying to find one, but everybody's sold out of turbo, so I can't seem to get one. And at this time of the year, you normally wouldn't be looking at a turbo; you'd be just out cycling. So I might have to use my crappy one next week. But yeah, that'll be fun. That's going to be fun next. Well, it won't be fun next weekend, but it's one of those cool things to do. Yeah, one of those kind of mad ideas that you agree to and then go,
shit.
Why did we agree to this?
to do this. But yeah, I've always wanted to do the 3 Peaks challenge. That's something that I've never actually done. It's one of the things I was thinking about in my head. If we get allowed out at some point this year, it's just go and doing it. See if somebody wants to come and do it and go and nail the 3 Peaks challenge, because it's quite fun. That's one of the things I want to do.
Well, if we're allowed to do it and there's space in our minibus, I'm sure I could probably persuade the guys, if you chipped in for fuel, a minibus to come along as like support, as it were, because at least then it's done, it's organised, and we'll be having a few beers afterwards in Snowdon. So.
All right, okay. Well, see what happens. Yeah, I've talked about it with Johnny a few times, and well, we've talked about a lot of stuff actually. But yeah, that's one of the things that we did talk about doing. It's not the most outrageous challenge in the world, but it's like one of the fun things to do. It seems quite fun.
I feel like if you're in the UK and you don't do it, and you're like quite an outdoorsy person, it feels like a bit of a waste of an opportunity.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, it's one of those things that seems like you should do it if you like climbing hills. Just go and do it. One of the things that, and we might talk about this at some point. One of the things that me and Johnny have talked about is certainly Mont Blanc. Is going climbing Mont Blanc at some point. Maybe Fergus would be interested in stuff like that as well. We should maybe set a year for that and figure that out. A few of us go over and climb Mont Blanc would be quite a cool thing to do. If anybody ever, if you would like to, if Fergus would like to, if Johnny likes it, we can make it work. That would be quite a cool thing to go and do.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool place. Actually, one of the things that you might be interested in is there's a race that I seen in Chamonix. So me, Johnny, and my friend Danny were there last year, 2019. And there was a new race called Duo Etoli. And I don't understand why you need two people to do it. I don't understand the concept of the race, but it's two people as a team. So you head away up into the hills, and it's not all that far. So it's only about 22 kilometres, something like that. So maybe 14 miles. But you set off at about 9 o'clock at night. You climb about 8,000 feet and you descend about 7,000 feet or whatever it is. And it's so cool because we were watching people coming down the hill, zigzagging down this hill with just like loads of lights. And it's one of those races where like, I really want to do that, but weirdly nobody wants to come and do it with me. So if you would like a running challenge at some point, we could agree on that. That'd be one thing you can come and do.
I think that's a lot of it. Going back to the ego thing, it's like these races now that they're not. I mean, they are races, but realistically, there's only ever going to be one or two people that enter them trying to win the race, and it's almost there's a lot of like completion challenges, and I kind of think that's what like Keltman, Norseman, and Patagon Man are.
Yeah,
it's just like extreme triathlons, and the beauty of it is having the finishers T-shirt and stuff like that. It's not so much. It is a race, but it's not a race.
It's a race, but it's not. Yeah. The Ring of Steel and stuff like that are the same. Like I think it's Fergus doing the Ring of Steel this year.
Unsure. Again, everything's up in the air. That's come about through his links with Ryan Libby and Salomon. You know, the Salomon shoes.
Is he now doing something with Salomon?
He's potentially, but I don't know the full details of it. But I know he's been chatting with Ryan Libby because Ryan did his 13-hour workout thing.
Okay.
So I think there might be some kind of link there, but then he's obviously just started working for Vivo, so I don't know how that would work.
Mm-hmm.
Redacted if Vivo kick off, by the way. There are running shoe brands available.
So politically correct. That was Fergus done a 13-hour workout alley that was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like station set up, and it was I can't remember how many guys it were doing it. There was loads of different guys doing it for in November for men's mental health charities and all that kind of stuff. It looked like bloody hell, but it actually looked like really good fun. It looked bloody awful, but fun, like fun awful. You know those workouts that are awful but fun. That looked like one of those ones.
Yeah. That basically sums up your entire sport.
Yeah.
Awful but fun.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. That's kind of fighting.
Yeah. It's just trying to hurt each other, but it's really good fun.
Yeah. But I mean, what me and Ali do on a regular basis is simulate murder.
Yeah.
We try to kill each other.
There's no other way to do it.
That's the best way. You never fancy come and try some jiu-jitsu, Andy?
I've rolled a couple of times in the past.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that does appeal to me because I've never really done it formally.
Yeah.
And again, similar to Johnny. Johnny's pretty decent at it because he might not be technically the best, but he's very fit and very strong for his weight. So
outrageously strong to roll with. Have you rolled with Johnny Ali?
Yes.
Have you?
I would agree with you both.
He's outrageously strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the about it the other week, Chris. One of the great myths of jiu-jitsu is that you don't need strength. Strength isn't needed.
That's what weak people say.
Yeah, totally. Strength definitely helps.
That's the biggest insult people pay to me when I've rolled with them. Is they'll always go, "Yeah, that was good roll, man, good roll. Yeah, you're really strong." And I'm, fuck off.
No. You are, but you also have very good technique, which is a good combination to have.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm not saying it again. You know what I mean? You're not. I'm not throwing another one your way. You can forget about that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am bursting for a pee, and I don't have an awful lot more to say. So, are you guys cool with wrapping up?
Just one final bit. One wee final bit then. Thanks for joining us, Andy. Again, as I say, nice to meet you virtually in this crazy time. Let's do the podcast thing. If people want to find out more about you, where can they look you up? Where are you on the social media?
Instagram, pretty_powerlifter. YouTube, the pretty powerlifter. And Facebook, the pretty powerlifter personal training. They would be the three best ways. Instagram is probably the best. YouTube is a new venture. I've only got the one video up so far, but I'll be dropping new videos every kind of 10 days to every kind of 7 to 10 days. And just like Chris said, I do some things that I think are quite cool, and my doggo is really cute. So put it online.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks very much for having me. I'd just like to thank Nocco for sponsoring this video. Free stuff, please.
Thank you. Send me some juice. Cool. That was fun.
Yeah, good chat. Thanks very much, guys. I'll stop recording now.